Hey, and welcome everyone. Can anyone give me a sound check real quick? Let me know that we got audio and that it's all rolling. Are we awake? Yay, thanks, Yorenda. How's everyone doing? Rolling on the river. Excellent, excellent. For those that are on the call that tend to generate higher than average points, if you feel like grabbing your headset, there's going to be plenty of chance to jump in. I'd love if you'd contribute. This really is open discussion. I obviously can't put everybody on the audio line, but I really would like everybody to share today. I'm going to contribute what I know, but I don't tend to play the hardest hitting points games. And I know that I would totally get schooled by some of you on this. And the real intent is to bring as much of that information into the community as possible. And so to make it available and really just to do a sharing session here. There is a lot of information pertaining to this, and I was actually having real trouble getting it together to congeal into some sort of planned webinar, so hence the informal discussion session, which I think is going to work really well for this. But feel free to jump in and out, ask questions as we go, and you know, if you can contribute, if you've got something to say, let me know and I'll open your mic. You really do need a headset though so that you don't have audio feedback. Yay, glad to see everybody here. I know attendance is a little low, but that's because of the real last minute and informal method of announcing. I didn't really feel that it was necessary to do a lot of email blasts to get everybody on the line since we could contribute. And if it all comes out well, we'll have a recording. I've got Camtasia running. Like I said, I don't really know how this will flow, so we'll see if it generates a useful recording or not. If not, I may come back and piece something together for the community. We'll see how this plays out. All right, we ready to get rolling? Everyone having a good one? Everyone having a great day? Yeah, you guys got summer. I've got fall setting in. It's been that the chill snap is in the air, and I've been dragging out the crock pot and enjoying that. And as you'll see on my camera, I have adopted a pair of bottle baby kittens, and they make an appearance whenever they darn well please at this point. So, you know, you'll just have to forgive the little ones. They don't have any clue and have not been real conductive to productivity, but they're a lot of fun. At work. Well, at least you get to hang out with us, right? Excellent. Glad you were able to sneak in from work. Okay, what the real purpose of this session is to show you what I and anybody else that's available to contribute on this topic. And I know, for example, Mark really does great with, you know, getting a lot of syndication numbers on the board each week. And, you know, there's a couple other individuals that I think may jump on the call today that often generate real strong syndication counter numbers. And one of the things that particularly newer members in the TSA community often wonder is, are those numbers legit? How in the world, when some of us struggle to generate 110, 120 counters a week, are other people putting 500, 600, 1,500 counters on the board? Can that be possible? Well, the answer is yes. And it involves a lot of pre-planning and a lot of system setup and a lot of creating a system and then a lot of consistency of using it and a lot of automation hubbed in. It's generally not complete automation, but it really cuts down on so many steps that it really can boost those numbers. And as you're going to see today, that because of how the steps flow, oftentimes having high syndication numbers is not actually conducive to having high blog comment numbers. And that's why that's why we award 2 top seats. And that's why these people almost always have very different number combinations, because it really is a different way of playing the game. It's a different approach. And people that don't understand how the syndication system works and how we get maximum leverage from TSA often tend to poo-poo on the syndication counters, because blog comments we can quantify in our head, we can quantify in our heart, we know they feel good, we know they look good, that makes sense to us. But oftentimes what doesn't make sense is what all these other counters are good for, because we don't see them. We don't often know how to track them. They seem to go off into the middle of nowhere, and we don't really seem to feel that we get social proof out of them. And we don't always feel that they help. But the way they compound is that they build up, and those are what boost your SEO. Okay, so TSA is built on this foundation that we're creating social proof with blog comments. We're creating social proof with Facebook and Twitter and extended network shares. We're creating organic traffic by those people's networks visiting your blog. But because of how we require certain blog plugins, and because of how we ensure there's enough backlinks there, and because of how we award those that are doing a lot of syndication counters through social bookmarking, and there's the trick. We're going to talk a lot about social bookmarking because that's where these points are coming from. Those things create the all-beloved backlink that has been really the backbone of SEO up until very recently. Now, backlinks currently are not worth what they were a year ago. However, they are still worth a lot in your SEO. Okay, Google Panda, the Panda updates actually were very good for the average blogger. Now, I know a lot of people got slapped by them, a lot of people got hit by them, particularly article marketers, things like that. Everybody that had been doing what Google had told us would work often tended to get a backhand with the Panda updates, because the Panda updates moved to favor a blog that's strongly branded, that's highly professional, that is so trustworthy in nature you'd trust it with your credit card, that carries a distinctive voice, that is very real, and that has unique content and all those kind of great things. So that became a bigger player with Google Panda. Now, that's not to say that on-page SEO doesn't still count. It really does. That's not to say that backlinks don't still count. They really do. And so actually now we've really got a better playing field. And now that Google Plus has come into play, now your participation in a social network actually drives your SEO. And your participation in that social network and building your network there, if you build out a network on Google Plus, the people that have circled you will preferentially see your blog updates. And if they've plus one your stuff, if they plus one your blog updates and they've circled you, they will preferentially see your blog updates and your blog posts in their search results. Okay, they get a very personalized search result if they're signed in, and it favors the people that they are now in the social network with. This creates some really interesting search results, but it also can create a real headache for you if you don't pay attention to the fact that you don't want to syndicate crap. Okay, because now if you go to a blog post and the blog post is crap, oh, hi kitten, and you mark +1 on that, you have now changed the algorithm by which you are going to see Google search results, and you're going to bring more of that crap into your search results. Does that make sense? Is everybody following along with kind of the flow here? I'm trying to lay a little background before we go look at some mechanics. Everyone with me? Give me a yes in the box. Let me know what's up. And try not to mind the munchkin who thinks she owns the place. Okay. Say hi. Say hi. Now, go away. Told you, I'm not getting much work done with them lately. It's not helping. All right, so let me know in the chat box if you've made an attempt to boost your social counters and how you felt about it, and you know, if this is really something that interests you. I mean, if we're off on a completely different topic, if getting higher syndication numbers isn't something that interests you, well, we can do something else. We can throw a party. I don't know. I'm sure we can find something else to do today. Let me know how you feel about that and whether you feel that that would benefit you and TSA and the things you do in the community as a whole. We got some yeses in the box. Give me 1 second. Believe it or not, the baby kittens still don't have names. It is like naming products. It's one of those things I completely suck at. And so the babies don't have names. They've been everything from My Little Monsters to Thing 1 and Thing 2 and to the Gruesome Twosome. And it's just it's just not come about naming them. And to be honest, really the first 2 weeks they were here, their health was super fragile. They were abandoned. They were dropped off by an individual. They were off of a feral mother and had no mother. They were complete bottle babies and really tried to die on me there for a bit. So we need to have a name the kitten contest. We might do that as soon as I make sure that everybody's in the clear health wise. You know, we've been through the little black and white one went totally off feed, and it took me forever to get him on a bottle or her on a bottle, and she really tried to starve herself out on me, and I couldn't even get her on sugar water for a while, and that was really scary. And then when I started up the formula, the little tiger kitten did seizures, and that was very scary, even with my pre-vet background. I have a background in veterinary, and I do a lot with animals and a lot with rescue and stuff. At least I used to. But when you watch a little baby have seizures, it really is a kind of a heartbreaking moment. But we found out there was stuff going on with the formulas, and we switched that up. And so at the moment they're incredibly healthy, and that's turning them into menaces. But it's a lot of fun. We may have to do something to name the kittens. That would be fun. I'm sure we can come up with some kind of contest. Great idea, Marquita. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through some procedures, okay? And there's going to be places that I honestly don't know the best way to do things, but I know what I've seen a lot of the top guys do. I know what's been demonstrated to me when numbers have been questioned. And I know what I've done from time to time when I do feel like playing that game. Because there's times that I decide to spend a week and I'll go through the system and I'll push just a ton of backlinks for everyone. Because building that backlink system really is a pivotal part of TSA, even though it doesn't seem like it. And so individuals that play the top syndicator game are building the TSA in a different way, and it's all very important. So I'm going to take a look at that, but I want you to understand in advance that because I don't have anything scripted, it may not flow right. It may feel very piecemeal, and if you get stuck following me, tell me to stop and back up and repeat what I was doing, and I'll try to tie it together in another way. Make sense? I just don't want to lose anybody as we do this. Whoa, hey, my camera. There we go. Get over there. Okay, let me get my desktop up here. Java. Give it 1 second. Oops, what did I do? That was funny. Okay, can you guys see Firefox up? Oh, excuse me, can you guys see Firefox up with Google Reader inside? Or do I need to reduce the total screen resolution so that you're not fighting with it? I set it to auto size, but I know that can be a little unwieldy. Okay, now I'm in Google Reader, and if you've never taken a chance to get to know Google Reader, it is actually the powerhouse behind keeping up with countless blogs. And it's the powerhouse behind doing oodles of syndication at once. Not really at once, but in short bursts, okay? Google Reader is one of the best things that you can invest some time in that will save you time overall for content curation. When you are going through blogs in your niche, when you set up a folder for blogs in your niche, and that lets you keep up with countless blogs without having to visit 20 sites until you're ready to comment on them, that lets you keep up with a ton of news coming into your world and into your niche, and then to quickly be able to find pieces to reshare to the people that follow you. A lot of people ask me how I always come up with such interesting stuff to share and how I always know what the industry is doing and things like that. And the key is tools like Google Reader, because they help all the blogs come to me. And it's not that they come to my inbox. I don't generate, 200 pieces of email every day. Actually, I do generate that much email, but it's not blog posts, unfortunately. I do have a couple blogs that I subscribe to by email that I really personally enjoy, but for the most part, I push everything to Google Reader. Now we're going to look at a couple different accounts here. This one you see here is one that I set up just for this project, and I actually set it up several months ago, and I couldn't find a good way at the time to teach this. So that was what I decided to do, today, to teach this. So this is not my primary reader, but if I open, here I have Rockmelt open, and this is my primary reader. And I've moved a bunch of things out because I'm getting ready to rebuild a lot of my subscriptions. But I want to show them to you both so that you get a feel for what's going on. Now, we're going to act like we have nothing set up. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's say that, well, how many have I got here? Okay. Ah, man, if I do all of those, I'm going to have too many. Too many for time. Okay, so I'm going to widen this out a bit. Well, no, I don't want to do that either. Oh, hey, we shrink this. Ha. Okay, now I'm going to grab this, 7 or so here. But ideally, what you want to do is get at least all the elite, okay? I quite honestly don't always grab all the standard, because the standard group has a high tendency of falling out, and then I have to keep track of who's not doing their syndications for the week and who's not going to count if I syndicate them, right? So I want to be able to set stuff up, and I want to be able to put people in there that are very dependable. And so if I know that somebody's been very volatile on the sheet, or maybe somebody... maybe somebody's brand new to the system and I'm not yet sure that they're going to stick around. Things like that. I'm looking for people that are stable. And so I'm just going to grab these first couple. And I'm not making any, judgments on these people today. I'm just grabbing some numbers because I want you to see how this is done. Oops, that didn't click. The sheet, as usual, is persnickety about clicks. And we'll get Dave and Dawn's, and we'll get Gavin's, if it'll click, and we'll get top syndicator and top commentator. Okay, so I've got about 8 blogs open, give or take. We're going to work with these today, but really these exemplify 20, 30, 50, 200 blogs at a time, okay? And different ways of approaching it. When we're putting them in Reader, the more the merrier, as long as they're people that are stable within the system, because you don't want to be trying to push counters for people that are no longer in TSA. And I know some people do that. There's some people that have pushed, large numbers, and sometimes that's happening because they haven't cleaned up their Reader and they're doing a lot of syndication off people that have left. And, it is what it is. You got to clean up your Reader every so often and make sure that it's current. I know that's an annoyance, but at the same time, you're saving so much time by doing it this way that it just comes with the system. So if you want to do it that way, understand that you got to be fair with everyone. Okay, so I have all these blog posts, and what you may not realize is that WordPress has a feed built in. Every single WordPress blog that is on WordPress itself has a default feed, and you will almost always find that by putting /feed after the URL. And the feed is the way that tools can connect to your recent blog posts, and the way that your recent blog posts can be seen and read without having to visit the blog. Now, you have choices when you set up your feed within your dashboard. If you go to your dashboard and it's one of the settings, you have a choice of whether you do excerpts or whether you do full posts. You also have, there's also a number of plugins. For example, this is yet another related post plugin here that's adding some related links to his. Now, I'm going to tell you that while we tend to want to do excerpts because we believe it will bring people back to the blog, that anybody that uses Reader regularly, and you'll find that those are regular bloggers, religious people that read your blog religiously, and people that are often business professionals that are short on time and depend on Reader to keep them up to date. When they see a blog like this with excerpts, they simply won't add it to their Reader. Okay, and this is a subscriber that will be subscribing by RSS that will now never subscribe by RSS and won't come back. So oftentimes people that depend on Reader will have the opportunity to have become a subscriber, and when they see this little excerpt stuff, they just won't become. And so while we'd like the additional click-through, unless your blog is super, super good, you really want to open that up. Okay, you really want to set that to full length so that people can read from Reader. I'm sure I can find one here that's got full posts real quick. If not, I'm sure that oh, come on. Get out of there. Now, oftentimes blogs will have RSS icons on them. Those are great. You can use those too. I'm just opening these feeds up because I want to show you what feeds look like, and I want to show you what we're dealing with. Now, my audio may be breaking up because I feel my net being real sluggish. You guys still with me? I know this is kind of dragging, but I'm trying to lay as much background so that you really understand when I start laying technique on top of technique, where it's coming from and how you can impact it, and which blogs really work best for this. Unfortunately, one of the things that happens is that people tend, if they're pushing for high counters, to, well, let me back that up. People that aren't necessarily playing 100% above board, okay? There will be people that will add every blog in the system to their Reader, excerpt or not, and just go through and hit all the shares for it, and they'll never look at it. They'll never see if it's quality. They'll never see if it's useful, things like that. There are some times that can be an interesting gameplay. There are some times that can be useful. But if you're sending it to your personal social networks that you're connected with, syndicating a post that was an excerpt that you never had an opportunity to read, that you didn't click out to look at, can be a death sentence. Okay? If you syndicate crap, you get known for crap. And so you got to be really careful with that. But again, the auto syndication and using the social bookmarking, sometimes not such a big deal. I know that, Mark is usually very careful about what he syndicates out, even though he does a lot of counters. And, I'm sure he'll tell you the same thing. Well, I can't find a post that opens in full, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to start adding these to Reader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this URL and I'm going to come into Reader. And I'm going, whoops, if I get into Reader, and I'm going to come, and I'm in reader.google.com or google.com/reader, both URLs work, and I'm going to click on add a subscription, and I'm going to put in the blog URL. You don't necessarily have to put in /feed because it will usually auto-detect it for you. Okay, so I added that. It's loading. Yeah, with OnlyWire, that is consistently an issue because OnlyWire is designed to work with services that have the CAPTCHA system. And, there's times that automation for that just purely doesn't work. And so, if you're doing OnlyWire, you have to go into your history and resubmit stuff that failed. That's unfortunately just a fact of life with them. Ping FM, you don't have to resubmit, but it doesn't go to the best services. Okay, all the best services are captioned. So it's really 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but it's 5 points each. So that's 10 points per post for really very little work. And so that is a really nice way to build some points while you're still on the blog post, while you're doing commenting, while you're doing other things. That's my preferred combo. But we're going to go over both of that, and I've got those pulled up to look at. Okay, I think Firefox got restarted there. Let's get the desktop share back up here. Okay, do you see Firefox back up again? Are we back? Excellent. Okay, now, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I put the URL in there, did add subscription. It took it a minute. I think that's just my reader being reader. And you can see that we have brought William's blog post in. And, you know, he's got nice full-length posts. Here it's very well laid out. We can essentially read his blog right here in Reader. And it's really very clean. There's not a lot of blog clutter. There's not a lot of much going on. You might like the fact there's not even any pop-ups. Okay, you know, for some that can be a major reason to use Reader to syndicate. And the first thing you do when you bring somebody in is that always you want to go to feed setting immediately and choose what folder you're going to put them in. So I'm going to do new 10-26-11, but make logical folders, whether you're making a big folder for TSA, whether you make a folder for TSA Elite and TSA Standard. Oftentimes you're going to have folders of your own for your own niche stuff. Oftentimes you're going to have folders for the big blogs in your industry. You know, the people like Mashable that publish like 26 times a day that are a pain to keep up with. Okay, so I brought that one in, and here on the left under subscriptions, you see the folder that says new 10-26-11, and it says my blog. Now I'm also going to, when you click on it, there's this little drop down. You can barely see it. And once you get the drop down, I'm going to do rename subscription, and I'm going to do William. Okay, so I'm going to put William's name in there. Actually, most of the time, and if I don't actually know it, but I would like to do at, man, I'm going to mutilate this because I don't remember his Twitter ID off the top of my head, but I'd go back to his blog and I'd get it, and it would be, whoa, hey, no. Okay, say that was his Twitter ID, and then, now the reason I do that is because I may want that later when I share from here to Twitter. So now I have it handy. Now it's at my fingertips. So I can close his blog for the minute. Ah, Brother Bill Amy. Amy or Amos? Amos, okay. Brother Bill Amy. Okay, so I've got, let me back some of these up. Let me get Pearlies. Okay, I'm only going to do this for a couple because it will only really take a couple to show you what's going on. So I added Pearlies here and added just her blog URL. It takes it a minute. It didn't just vanish. Oh, there it is. Loading, please wait. And it sends a request out to her blog, and it gets her most recent about 10 posts because that's what the feed holds. And again, it's being sluggish for no good reason. It's not usually this slow. Come on. So again, while that's loading, I notice I've got it here on the left-hand side, so I'm going to go ahead and rename. And again, those aren't right, but I'm showing you how I set these up. And generally, instead of like pearlyqua.com, I would put her name in there so I know who I'm dealing with. So when I write something, I have her name. I just drop the .com off of it. Miranda, you are so awesome. Man, I'm going to have to correct these now because you keep finding all the good stuff. Okay, rename subscription. Okay, Brother Bill Amos. And rename subscription, and at PEQUAH. Curly Qua. Okay, and now remember I brought her in, but I didn't put her in a folder. Now you can either go here and click to put her in a folder, or you can grab this and you can drag it up into the folder. So there I've put it in a folder. Okay, I'm going to do one more because I want one more. Let me get Dave and Dawn Cooks, assuming that the browser will play along nicely. Not that one. Gavin's feed looks funny. Oh, hello, browser. Okay, so I got Dave and Dawn Cooks. We're going to put that in here. Oh, it told me that's already in that folder. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop that down here because that's already been added. So I'm going to add it to the folder we're working with today. Let me close that big folder. I'm going to do rename at Dave and Dawn Cook. I know this seems like a lot of setup, but this will make your life so much easier. It is so tempting to throw all of these blogs in here at once and not do this. Okay, so I've got these three, and they're here in my reader, and I'm going to come to the folder new, and this would show them in the order of newest to oldest, okay, if I wanted to see them all, or I can do them one blog at a time. So I'm going to click on Dave and Dawn Cook's blog, and here I have their blog pulled up, and again, we got it named right so we can see it. We got it in the right folder. We got a post. This is really cool because I can read the whole thing right here. I can see what's going on. I can get the feel for it. And if I want to go comment from here, I just click the title, and the title bar is going to take me out. Okay, so if I wanted to come out to the blog and comment, you can do that from here. Now, I'm not really going to talk about commenting today because of mostly talking about, pushing additional counters, but that really is still a part of it. But I'm going to leave that open for a minute. But I want to show you what we can do from here. If I scroll on down, let's see, I'm going to put it in the middle here. I can see at the very bottom I have add star, like, share, share with a note, email, keep unread, edit tags. I'm missing an important one. And so what I want to do is I want to show you what I'm missing. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to mark that as unread. I am going to come up here in the right to the little gear icon, and I'm going to go to reader settings. Now this is something most people don't know is here. You click on the send to, and in the send to you have all sorts of options. If you want to send it to Delicious, to Dig, to Facebook, Friend Feed, Instapaper, all these, but the neat one here is Ping FM. Okay? Sending it to Twitter is the tricky one because of the way tweets are performed. Sending it to Stumble Upon is tricky because, well, it's Stumble Upon and they're pretty protective because of how much traffic they drive. That would be like sending it to Facebook where you could do it wrong. You know what I'm saying? But perhaps you also want to send it maybe to option to send it to Delicious, and maybe you also want to send it to maybe to Reddit. And we're just going to check a couple of those. Now, in a few minutes, well, we'll do that now. When I start talking about doing manually, I'm also going to talk about using Buffer and using Timely. And Buffer has a way, Buffer app for Twitter, and that's for Twitter, has a way that you can custom add one using this little don't see your favorite site thing. So when you see that I have Buffer app in mine, it's because I've set it up here using the custom link. But for the moment, all you really want is this ping.fm. And I've got that. Okay, there is no save button there. So back to Google Reader. Now it's going to refresh, and I'm going to come down. Whoops, if I don't scroll too far. And now in this bottom bar, come here. Okay, now in the bottom bar, now I have a send to, and it has a drop down, and I can click Ping FM. So if I click Ping FM, it's going to pull open my Ping FM account. Okay, so here is the Ping FM window, and I choose where in Ping FM I want to send it. Generally, that's going to be statuses or microblogs, depending on how you have your Ping FM stuff set up. the link as we saw it, nice and clean. There's no, because we're doing it from within Reader, there's no chance of it, all the junk that can be after you leave a comment being on there. The blog title, or the title here, looks right. And if I were sending this to Twitter, if my Ping FM were connected to Twitter, which I honestly don't recommend, then I would want to make sure that I added via Dave and Dawn Cook, okay? Because the title is going to become the tweet. Now, I don't suggest doing that, but if you are, then you want to add that. Generally, I still do, however, add something like by Dave and Dawn Cook. Oops. Okay, because this is going to make sense when this becomes a social bookmark. We're creating bookmarks out on a social site in the same way you would create a bookmark in your browser. You want to know, what the post is, who it's by, and the things that would make it easy to find. So use the same logic. Click ping this. Okay, it pinged it, and it took me back to the blog itself. Now, assuming you have Ping FM set up for, let's see if I'm still logged in. Assuming you have it set up for posting enough, assuming you have it going to at least 5 services, that was an instant 5 points. Okay, can you see where that can be real quick? That it really didn't take many steps once it was set up. It was just click, click, edit the title, click ping. 5 points. Okay, now you can see here that I have my ping set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that I'm going to 7. I like 7 to 10 because then if a couple fail, I still feel good in my heart that I did at least my 5. Makes sense? Because some of these services are going to fail from time to time. Now, while I'm out on his post, just because I'll show you the other method of doing this, and that is a OnlyWire account. Do I have OnlyWire open? Okay. I have OnlyWire open. You can set up a free account with them. And I'm going to click on my name to go to where I need to be. And the first thing you do when you come into OnlyWire is go to Services. And under Services, you have your work cut out for you because you're going to set up unique accounts on about 40 services. Okay? Now, you'll see red boxes around certain things for me. I do not let OnlyWire post to Twitter. I don't let it post to Facebook or LinkedIn or any other service I really value. Okay? It's a quick way to get yourself in trouble. So, don't connect it there, but for the most part, some of these others. And you'll notice certain sites that I never have appropriate content for, like Yelp. I just simply don't put in a username and password. Okay? I just simply leave them blank because the stuff I share doesn't belong on Yelp, and it would be a quick way to get my email account recognized for spamming. I don't want that to happen. But, keep it with sites that are appropriate. Most of these, Reddit, Plurk, Plaxo, all this. You're going to have some work here setting these up. This takes time, but automation takes time. For TSA, again, set up 7 to 10, give or take, and you'll get credit for 5 of them. We don't allow credit for the full 40 because it was encouraging abuse. I have a lot more in here than that, you can see, and I still post to all of those, but we couldn't encourage abuse of the system, and we couldn't encourage, people to be driving all their points that way. And we were not seeing the results we wanted. So we just don't allow that anymore. The same really with Ping FM. I know you can post to more than 5, but you only get credit for 5. Once you've got those set up, then you're going to go to Tools. Everyone still with me? And one thing to know is that OnlyWire is going to offer to sell you some services. One is the deCAPTCHA service, which can be nice, but you don't need it for what we do. And the other is the ability to share more than the, I think it's, 10 by 5? Anyway, if you're doing 2 new groups or 1 old group per week, you won't run into this cap. But anything more than that, if you do, I think it's about 1,000 total bookmarks per month. You'll stay clear of that doing 2 groups under the new grouping method or 1 group under the old grouping method, and you won't have trouble. I'm not encouraging you to pay for OnlyWire. So you're going to need 2 things here. You're going to need the submitter, which the submitter runs on your desktop, and we'll see if I can demonstrate putting this in place. 300. Okay, cool. So, 300, you take a group of 10, make it 13. You take 13 blogs times 4. So, like 60 times 5. And you see you're pushing near that 300 number, but you're getting right up there. And you generally come in under the wire if you do that. Not always, but, kind of depends on how the week goes. Okay, so I'm going to install that little OnlyWire submitter, and it's going to run down here in my little taskbar. And it's reasonably well behaved. It doesn't chew up too much bandwidth. Get it down here. Oh, it's not there yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you can see the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. Yeah, quit trying to sell me stuff. Okay. Bottom right-hand corner of my screen, there's this little blue box that has a little lightning bolt in it. And if you right-click that, you can tell it check for work, authorize accounts, post history services. So this is an easy way to get to your account stuff. It also, if you've been doing a bunch of post to OnlyWire and you haven't seen it throw up the CAPTCHA boxes you're going to have to solve, then you're going to need to click check for work because that will make it talk to the server itself. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, now I need one more piece. I need a bookmarklet. So I'm going to click back. And you can get the browser bookmarklet, the bookmark and share. There's a couple different things here. You also, because you're going to use a free account, will want to get the WordPress plugin. You can do that from your dashboard and search. It says by OnlyWire Engineering. It says like the OnlyWire official plugin. And the nice thing about that is if you set it up and you have an OnlyWire account, that once it's set up and connected, it can actually auto share your post to OnlyWire when your post publishes. So it's useful for that reason. If it wasn't that it could auto share, and if it wasn't that you need to run it to be allowed to have a free account, I wouldn't recommend using it because I don't like using it on other people's blogs. I use my bookmarklet all the time. I don't believe that it counts as having social share buttons because you have to have an account to use it. Okay, it's not a standalone kind of thing. But it's a useful plugin. It's fine. It's stable. It'll do no problem for your blog. Now let's get a browser bookmarklet. I guess this one. They've changed this just a little bit since I was in here last. Okay, for Firefox, and you just take this link and you click on the link and you hold down your left mouse button and you drag it up here to your toolbar, to your little menu bar. Assuming you have your menu bar showing, you may need to right click on your menu bars and tell it, oh, where is it? Yeah, you may need to tell Firefox to display that menu bar. Chrome also doesn't always show that menu bar, and it's in settings. But that puts it right up there. So now I'm on Dave and Don Cook's post. I made sure that my URL is very clean. There's no extra comment stuff here. There's no feed burner stuff here. And I've read the post, I've looked at the post, I've shared the post all kinds of other places. Now I'm going to click bookmark and share. It will once those are processed, okay? Those things don't process immediately because of how the service works and how it works with CAPTCHA and things like that. But once it does, then those things will auto-update because they update themselves. It's not that OnlyWire updates them, it's that OnlyWire submits to them. And once it's approved, once it's passed, then the counter updates itself? That's a good question. Okay, so here now I've clicked on bookmark and share and it brings up the little pop-up and I want to be sure that the title looks good. In this case, I don't like the title because I have daveanddoncook.com and then the title and then daveanddoncook.com. To me, that's not useful. So I'm going to put the title first and then daveanddoncook.com, and then I look at the URL, looks clean, a couple tags, legal shield. I honestly did not look at what was in this post. It might help. You're supposed to read this. LifeLock and Dave and Don Cook, all his tags. I generally put somebody's name as a tag. Okay, because we're almost always working on building our name as an SEO keyword. So you're looking for SEO keywords. It's all good. No, it's not. I should read that post. Okay. I also tend to want to get something to add to notes, which becomes like reviews on some sites and additional info on the other. I don't know what I clicked. And so here I'm just going to take the first paragraph. Usually you can find a paragraph that you can just copy paste. Be careful that it makes sense. Be careful that it's sensible. But usually you can find something you can use and just paste that in there. Post now, category, and we're going to leave that in business. Select something that's appropriate. There isn't many categories to pick from, so usually you'll be in business. And then click post bookmark. Okay, again, what we just did, a quick 5 points. So if I had just visited the blog, skipping Google Reader, if I just visited the blog, I could have bookmarked and shared it with OnlyWire. There was 5 points. I also, from Ping FM, there we go. Okay, ping.fm/integration. Okay, grab the bookmarklet. It says ping this. Grab it, drag it up here. Okay, so that works. Okay, so I'm back on Dave and Don Cook's blog. I'd click ping this. Same stuff we saw earlier. You just did that. So we've already done 10 points on their blog, and we haven't done a whole lot. I mean, we've talked a whole lot. I've said a whole lot here. But everything we've done was super simple and is really fast to do. Now, you have to keep in mind which services that might be in their sidebar that you've already done through OnlyWire and Ping FM. Clean up and do the rest, okay? Go ahead and do these. Always make sure, of course, that I'm not going to make comments about tweets that don't have the Twitter ID in them. You know, I'll just leave that for another day. And click dig. Make sure this comes out. Dig this story. Stumble. You know the usuals here, okay? I don't need to cover the basics. I'm sure that you've got the usuals well under wrap. Oh, stumble. Wrong. Okay. Okay. So, but what I want to do is I want to come back. And I am within the Google Reader now. And I realize it used to be there. It would surprise me. The stuff in Dig tends to just roam off. We'll have to get that fixed. Okay, so now I'm in my new 1026.11 folder. And here's kind of the part of the magic. And that's that if you trust all these people, if you don't need to pay a whole lot of attention to these people, because, I mean, Pearlie's cool. Dave and Dawn, absolutely no doubt, are cool. William's cool. You know, if I put Mark's blog in there, Mark's cool. We can inherently find people in the community that we have a relationship with and that we pretty much trust. I can start at on this folder itself, and I can just scroll down, send to, ping FM, ping it, and go. Scroll down, send to, ping FM, ping it, and go. There's 10. Scroll down, send to, ping FM, ping it, and go. There's 15. Do you see what I'm doing here? Scroll down, send to, ping FM, and go. There's 20. There's where part of the points are coming from. Gotcha? Does everybody follow what I just said there? I know I rattled through it, but this is how part of it's done. I'm going to show you some more tricks yet. But really, once you have these blogs in Reader and once you have Ping FM set up, if you trust the blogs, if these are blogs that you've gone through, you can rack up 100 points in a couple minutes. Well, maybe not a couple minutes, but, you know, like 20 minutes. Seriously, you can do 100 points in 20 minutes. Okay? Now, if you say you put 20 blogs in this sidebar, or in this folder, and you looked at them for 2 weeks and you discovered that those 20 blogs were consistently making, I don't know, maybe 15 posts a week. Okay, 20 blogs, about 15 posts a week. There's about 5 people that don't publish weekly. Makes sense? I think it's fair to say that's about average. You got to find out what your own group is doing, what your own folder is doing on a weekly basis. And you're going to put that number, like jot it down. And I'm going to show you how to import a bunch of TSA blogs, and I'm going to make that real simple for you in a minute. But what you can do is, where is it? Is you can take this folder and you click on it and you get this drop down and you create bundle. And once you create the bundle, you're going to have a feed URL for the bundle. Don't let this go. This is going to go over your head, and that's okay, because I'm going to give you an easy way to do this. So don't think you have to do this, but I'm telling you what it is, where it is, and how it's done so that you have all your facts. But you create the bundle and it gives you a feed URL. And a bundle blends all the feeds together and makes them into one feed essentially. Well, actually, they sort of behave as one feed. They don't always behave quite the way they should. And so then I take that bundled feed and I go to Feed Burner and I get a burned feed. And let me show you what I get. Now, I'm not an overly huge fan of Feed Burner, but Feed Burner works perfect for this. Okay, but I have this feed URL, and I'm going to open this up and edit feed. Okay, feedburner.com/TSA member elite. Okay, this was just elites. So I have this feed URL. And just if you want to play along, if you just want to look at it, there's this URL that if you scroll down, you'll realize it's one feed, but that there are about 50 blogs in this feed. Okay? And you've never seen anything like this before, most likely, because this is an advanced technique. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the elite members and I'm going to put you together a bundled feed. I'm going to update that feed to be current and I'm going to give it to you. So I would suggest not doing some of these steps just yet if you want, so that I can make this easier for you. But you have this bundled feed, and here's where this gets interesting. Once you have realized how many posts tend to come through the feed in a week, once you have that idea, because that'll update, it'll get a little number beside it. See, there's 8 new this week that are new. Now, advanced technique. We're going to go to deliver it. And I use this for all of my feed syndication to Twitter and places because it has great stats. Whoops, screen not updating. Okay, 1 second. Let's try that again. Desktop. Screen share. No, you are not in progress. You are confused. Okay, give it 1 second. Gotta bring the frame back up. Okay, do you see Google Reader up again? It says tonic-clonic seizure experience. Okay, on the left you see that the bundle we just brought in is named and shows how many are new this week, but that it's not a folder, that we cannot see the individual feeds within it because it is a singular feed. We've glued it together in a very strange way. Now, why would I do this? This is not the best way to handle it for individual stuff, but this lets me do something unique. With that feed URL, that feed burner, whoops, copy link location. Okay, with that feed burner URL, I'm going to go to deliver it. It's not .com. And deliver it is a really powerful tool. It replaces Twitter feed and replaces a lot of other tools for sending feeds to Twitter and has really great analytics. And BizBlog, what have I got here? I have an odd account. This is just a test account. BizBlog syndication. Oh, yeah, just sign in. It says I've been here before. Okay, now let's strip those out of here. So we're working with a very clean setup. Now, add route. Click here to name it. This would be TSA Elite. And the source we're going to add is going to be that feed burner URL. So new, scroll down, put that feed burner URL in there. Go ahead and post the most recent now. That's fine. Feed is active. That's fine. Feed updates, 15 minutes, max, fine. Generally, all this is fine. End item width. I still set this up, even though I'm going to do what I am because, oh, no. If you were syndicating your own feed or an individual feed, you would add via the Twitter ID of the feed owner, generally you. Here, we can't do that for a bundled feed because there is no feed owner. Okay, there's like 20 people, 50 people in that feed. So you can't put that there. If you wanted to put a hashtag, if you wanted to put something unique, something you could track, you could put that there, however. Filters are generally fine. Scheduling is cool. No big deal. All that is good. Prefer, if posting body. Prefer summary content. That's fine. All that's cool. So I changed only like the first one. Now I come over here to add. And under add, oh my goodness, Ping FM is gone. Well. Ha, this used to be here. They've changed this. I'll find a new way to do this. I haven't done this in a while. But basically, you pipe this feed through Ping FM, and it auto-pings like everything. It's really a fast way to generate about 500 points a week without touching it. It's pretty scary. You really shouldn't be able to do that, but if you trust the blogs, it's TSA Elite. You know, if keep it away from all your primary social accounts if you're going to do that. It's an awful lot of automation. And people that are allergic to automation just had a seizure that I just mentioned you could do that. I'll find another way to do this, but there are services that will run a feed straight to Ping FM. This used to be one. Using the individual feeds, I would need to set them all up in here individually. Okay, so I would be spending time in here adding each individual feed, setting up its Twitter ID, setting up all that kind of stuff. See ya, you're ready. You have a great one, sweetie. And setting it all up individually. Now, that's actually the better move. That's actually the smarter move. People don't tend to take the time to do it. That's the problem. From Google Reader, can't just add a bundle feed you created and then send. On a post-by-post basis, you can. Okay? See, here, I'm here in Google Reader. I have the bundled feed. And one post at a time. Sure, exactly. This is part of why we bundle them. I can do send to Ping FM. I can come down, next one, send to Ping FM. The reason the next step that I was showing it, that I want to connect deliver it though, is that it would do all of that automatically. That I would know that every post that came through that bundle was automatically sent to Ping FM. So if the bundle had 50 blogs, and if 50 blogs created 40 new pieces of content a week, then that would be an automatic 40 times 5. So an automatic 200 points on your baseline that you wouldn't touch except to be sure that the bundle was current. Right. But one of the reasons I like Deliver It is they're incredibly consistent. They're very stable. And they tend to actually do what they say they're going to do. Or the feed reports that it's got problems. And it'll tell you that it's got problems. And you'll know that it's not going. So a real quick visual check lets you know whether you should count those points or not. And the ability to add 200 points a week to your baseline on the spreadsheet is really powerful numbers. And the ability to add 200 additional bookmarks for TSA to the system helps everybody out, okay? That really, as long as you make sure that the blogs in there are quality, as long as, you know, it's things you would normally syndicate, or that you're pushing it to networks that you don't generally use. I mean, because there's a lot of things in Ping FM that we don't generally use that we can push stuff to just for social bookmarking reasons without doing a lot of damage. And as long as we're making sure that that's true on one or the other, then that really helps out the community as a whole. I mean, that literally is a backlink group hug, and is a really powerful tool that gains you some leverage. It does take setup time. It does take attention to keeping the feed current. And that is trade-offs that people make. You know, people decide how they want to earn their points. Everyone with me? I know that was some advanced technique, but I think it needed said for where a lot of points can come from. Okay, this technique may not be possible at this point. I may have to look for a new way to do this, but you still retain the ability to be in the reader and to simply scroll through the post and hit ping and go down to the next one and hit ping. Well, you gotta, ping, and then you gotta adjust the titles and that. So, there's like 5 seconds there. And then hit ping and do this again. And you can rack up some really solid points. And, at the same time, you're looking at the post. Now, what I don't advise is, okay, all of these came in. These are full posts. This is harder if this had been a partial, and if maybe I had only seen like the first 2 paragraphs, the first snippet, to decide that I'm going to syndicate that. And so usually when I'm working with Reader, if I have posts that won't open the full display, I kick them out of Reader, because unless they are niche blogs for me. Now, I have niche blogs I follow in Reader that have summary, that they are such high quality blogs that I will click out. Cool. But for the most part, for the average blogs I read, I won't click out. I'm lazy like everyone else. I mean, let's just be honest. I want the most efficiency for my time. I don't want to do any work that I don't have to do while still helping everybody else out, and still while learning the stuff that's in these posts. I mean, I still want to be able to read these posts and ensure that there's good stuff here. So this really helps out with that. Any questions? Yeah, I had mine turned back to Xer. Actually, my feed is broke at the moment. I have a feed validation issue, and that's something for people to check. See, if you go to feedvalidator.org, and if you put in your blog feed, what generally causes a feed validation issue is when there is a plugin that is throwing extraneous code into the feed. Oh, well, that doesn't help either. Anyway, you do this, and it will tell you whether the feed is valid or not, and it will tell you if the feed has errors. That's something you should check on your blog from time to time. It's always good to know that your feed is valid. And at the moment, my feed is having trouble being picked up because it's got an extraneous character in it. I've actually updated it. It does have full display feed, but it won't update because Google knows there's an error there. So it's not behaving. And that's something I'm working on fixing. It's constantly, there's always stuff you're going to be doing. There's always stuff you've got to pay attention to. And that's just one of them. And if you see a feed in your Reader that appears to be misbehaving, that isn't pulling current, that has posts but isn't current in Reader, things like that, generally give them the feedvalidator.org URL and have them bounce out and check that their feed is current. Okay, here in your blog, in WordPress, under Settings, under Reading, then it's for each article in the feed, show full text or summary. You want it to be full text and hit Save. For best visitor experience, use full text. Like I said, some blogs that are just amazing can get away with using summary, but most people can't, including me. So, I just don't recommend the summary generally. So that's where to change that for WordPress. I know that's been a lot of information. I am going to get the FeedBurner feed brought current. I need to essentially wipe it out and rebuild the bundle so that the feed is current and that it is a new set of elite, and that it is people that are active in the system. And we do need, unfortunately, to update that like once a month. I don't know that I have time for that at the moment, but I will look into it. If somebody in the community wanted to help with that, that would be awesome. Not that hard to do if you're using Google Reader at all to build a bundle for me. Easy stuff, but it just needs done. And that enables us to do quite a bit from Google Reader. But really, even without me building the bundle for you, you can go straight to Google Reader and you can start adding, you create a folder or add a blog and then give it a folder and start putting blogs in there that you check regularly, that you'd like to give some syndication love. And it's a quick way to put a lot of additional points on the sheet that you might otherwise be overlooking, that you might not know were there for taking advantage of. Does that answer everybody's questions today? I know there were a lot of questions about where these points were coming from, and I hope that that explains what's going on here. And I hope that that makes it more straightforward. Thanks, Mark. Thanks. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Let's go ahead. I will open a new thread in the Facebook group. I'll post something related to this, and I'll open it up for questions there. And if you got anything, go ahead and throw some questions in there. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, and that's why this is actually very hard to teach, because there's so much going on that you have to understand various nuances. And this is why I don't feel that this is appropriate information for a brand new member to TSA, because it's kind of an advanced strategy. It's kind of an advanced technique for gaining additional leverage. All right, guys, y'all have a good one. Let me know if you need anything, and I'll see you in the Facebook group. You take care. What you want?